You're welcome back. The push for state police is not entirely new. It has surfaced repeatedly in national conversations on restructuring and security reforms. But the Tinubu administration is now urging lawmakers to fast-track the constitutional process required to make it a reality. Now, joining me to examine the legal and security implications of this proposal is lawyer and security analyst Jide Ologun. Thank you so much for joining us at this time.
You are welcome. It's my pleasure.
All right. So the conversation around state policing has resurfaced under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. From a legal standpoint, what exactly does state police mean within Nigeria's security framework?
Thank you very much for that excellent question. It simply means that the operations of the Nigeria Police Force will be decentralized. What we have currently is that the Inspector General of Police presides over the police force in Nigeria. And even when you have a commissioner of police in any state, that commissioner of police is not administratively answerable to the governor of the state, even when the governor of the state is referred to as the law officer or security officer of the state. So the commissioner of police is answerable to the Inspector General of Police. And then what the state policing is seeking to achieve is to let each state manage their police system, just like we have it in the United States of America. And that is not to say that the central system will now be thrown away. Already, we have a structure on ground that has given the Federal Capital Territory a status similar to that of a state. And that is why we have the Federal Capital Territory Minister. So we can as well have the Nigerian Police Force for the Federal Capital Territory. And if you look at Lagos, for instance, Lagos is already warming up for the state policing if it is eventually put in place by the National Assembly, by having the LASMA, the Neighborhood Watch, and some other law enforcement agencies within the state that are not funded by the federal government. And again, I know that in Lagos State, for instance, we have the RRS, which is the Nigerian Police Force, but empowered by an extra support from Lagos State. So RRS, Rapid Response Force, does not actually belong to Lagos State, but still to the federal government. And the present Inspector General of Police, IGP Tunji Disu, played an active role in making RRS an effective policing system in Lagos State. So that is just what we have. And what happens at that point is that each state can now design security architecture that is sensitive to the local environment. For instance, in the northern part of the country now, it's all about banditry and this and that. And in some other parts of the country, so that you can secure your environment. It has become a Herculean task for the federal police system to manage security in Nigeria. And that is why, unconstitutionally so, the military has been drafted in to help in fighting terrorism and banditry. Constitutionally, it is not supposed to be so. The internal security of the country should be the prerogative of the police. So that is where we are right now. Some of us think that if we actually have that state policing, then we have a more effective police system in the country, because what Section 14, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says is that the security and the welfare of the citizens shall be the primary purpose of government. So, and security must be local sensitive also.
All right, so let's talk about the constitutionality. Now, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria currently places policing under the exclusive legislative list. Does this mean state police cannot exist without a constitutional amendment?
Absolutely, yes. There must be the constitutional amendment, because like I explained, what we mean when you say something is under the exclusive legislative list, that is only the federal government, the National Assembly, that can legislate on it. For instance, look at the mineral resources in the country. Ondo State, for instance, and some neighboring states accommodate the second largest deposit of bitumen in the world. But Ondo State cannot just start exploring that resource because these resources are on the exclusive legislative list. The same thing with the oil and gas in the Niger Delta region and some parts of the country. The same thing applies to the gold deposit in Zamfara and some other Osun State and some other parts of the country. So it means that the police is controlled by the federal government. So the National Assembly, we have to make law to say now states can create their own. Then we find a way of making sure that because the federal police system also accommodates people from all the regions in the country, then you return to your region where you are very familiar with the terrain, go and secure your environment, and the structure will be set up there. So that is that. And if you look at Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it states expressly that the National Assembly is mandated to make laws for the peace, orderliness, and good government in Nigeria. So there will be a need for amendment before that can be achieved. And I seriously commend the present IGP for setting up a hitman committee to start preparing for that, because I believe it's one of the promises of an agenda that is on the front burner of the present president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
All right.
And that he achieves that as he has chosen to drive it.
All right. So before I go to the other question I have in mind, let me ask you this question about the fears of people. How do we address the lack of trust on the side of the government? Because many people in the past have said government machinery, government officials might use the state police to, which hunts its political enemies. How do we address that?
Thank you very much again for another brilliant question. If you look at Section 1 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it says that all institutions and persons are subject to the supremacy of the Constitution. And we call it the rule of law. Even the president, despite the immunity he has under Section 308 of the same Constitution. So if we have allowed the system to function in Nigeria, then there won't be an abuse. So if there can be abuse at the federal level, it can also be at the state level. So that is another assignment for the government by introducing meritocracy. Let's go a little bit theoretical. If you look at the vision of the Nigeria police, it ambitions a professionally competent, rule of law compliant, and people-friendly force that secures the nation, fosters economic growth, utilizes modern intelligence-led strategies, to deliver high-quality police services. And part of it is to build public trust and uphold fundamental human rights through transparency, accountability, and community partnership. So you can see. And the vision statement of the Nigeria police is to become a service-driven and well-equipped police force that is responsible to contemporary security challenges. And so those are the challenges some of us are saying that, okay, maybe if we have state policing, for instance, if you have the Southwesterners come and set up their own policing, they know the terrain. They know where Okakoko is. They know where Idonre is. It's not that you bring policemen from Maiduguri to come and police Ogun State, And you look at the mission statement. The vision is the destination you are, focusing on, what you want to become, how you want to be recognized. The mission is how to get there. The mission of the Nigeria Police is to provide safe, secure, and enabling environments for citizens while enforcing laws in a professional, proactive, and fair manner. Okay. And when you look at the core objectives, you talk about community policing, intelligence-led policing, professionalism and human rights, welfare, and training. You see, so if we have amplified that, the real training, which is driven by ethical engagement of services, we won't have the complaints of fear that it should be abused. I mean, let me ask you a simple question. If any leader abuses the force, the person can be prosecuted if it's a criminal matter or remanded. After all, recently, the president and commander-in-chief ordered the withdrawal of private security, VIP security police officers to reinforce the capacity of securing the nation. So if there can be abuse, so be it. But that should not be strong enough for us to say we won't embrace it. And finally, let me say that the government has a leverage to handle abuse. If you look at Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it states clearly that the state shall abolish corrupt practice and abuse of office.
Okay.
So we have abuse because it is allowed. Even if a governor is enjoying immunity under the Constitution, the governor will leave office one day. So if you abuse your office while in office, you render account when you leave office.
Okay.
You see, and again, to allay the fears of some, look at what the president did. That should be 8th of June or so, 2023.
Yeah.
By signing the National Electricity Act.
Yeah.
Right now, Africa has made a beautiful engagement of that act to decentralize the grid system, the generation, distribution, and things like that. And Abia is becoming a destination for investors. And all the 36 states of the Federation are also offer the same leverage. So Lagos can develop the energy capacity, Ogun State can develop the energy capacity, and people come and invest in your environment
Barrister,
rather than all the collapse that we have from time to time.
Barrister, let me ask this question. Now, you are in support of state police, but we see that members of the police force were constituted by the IGP of police to brainstorm on the appropriate implementation method for the state police. But the question on my mind is, does it mean that the state police will be under the Nigeria Police Force?
You know, not necessarily. I explained that earlier. It's either we have it at the regional level. We have 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Then we can have 6 geopolitical zones police. South-South police, North-Central police, Southwest police, or 36. So you have the Lagos State Police Force, LSPF, to handle policing within Lagos State. And please permit me to go historical to when these police we are discussing commenced in Nigeria. It will help us to realize that it's possible to have police system. We started from that point. The Nigeria Police Force originated from colonial police force, and maybe what we also need to discuss is to ask the question, for what purpose? The initial design by the colonialists was to suppress dissenting opinions and to protect the British interest and maintain colonial order. Maybe that's one of the reasons why citizens are skeptic about this, that, oh, the police is to defend the interests of the government. No, we are in a democracy, the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Section 14 of the Nigeria Constitution 1999 as amended says that sovereignty belongs to the people, from whom the government derives power and authority. And so those are the issues. So we need to touch at the core kernel of the police system. And some of us are offering to support the new IGP. By the grace of God, apart from being a lawyer, I practice public relations, I practice human resource management, I'm into leadership. And then, by the grace of God also, I'm a chief superintendent of police. So we need to work on that mindset. what is the essence of having this structure? And the moment you drift away from the essence, then ethical services may not be provided. So, and we call that purpose in
All right.
leadership. What is the purpose of having this laudable force in the country?
Okay, so what role should the National Assembly of Nigeria and the state houses of assembly play in making such a constitutional change possible?
They should, just the same way they have amended the Electoral Act, the same way they have given us the Tax Reforms Act, the same way we had the Petroleum Industry Act, for them to amend the Constitution and allow states to set up their own police system and now see how to do the post-state police creation deployments. And of course, I've said, I don't think we have foreigners in the Nigeria police force. They must be Nigerians. Then, advise them, if you are from Maiduguri or Borno State, wherever you are in the country, perhaps what will happen is that you transfer your service to your state.
Oh, okay.
State, go and set up your system, go and defend your people. We are all still Nigerians. In the United States of America, states own the police architecture and their pays differ. For instance, I think the police in California earn the highest in the US. So this system has worked. If it's not going to work, it's not because of the structure, it's because of systemic error. And we can correct that systemic error by doing what is right. And the Constitution has given direction on that.
Okay. So, how can the new law ensure coordination between federal security agencies and the potential state police force?
I've said it, the National Assembly will work out that template. The Federal Capital Territory remains. And again, let me point out one of the fears some may have. Nigerians have been calling for true federalism,
True.
which they call restructure Nigeria, restructure Nigeria. Some may see it as opening the gate to true federalism, because following the state police creation, we may now say, let regions manage their resources. Whatever revenue you get, make a contribution to the Federal Capital Territory so that we can run the Federal Capital Territory, but use the remaining to develop your communities. And I doubt if there is a state in Nigeria that is not endowed. So the fears, and in change management, fear is legitimate.
Okay.
In management now. But then change is the only thing that is constant. If you don't change, you remain stagnant. So if it's one of the reforms that this president has promised and has delight in, I know he can find his way with the legislatures, and let them look at it. But like I said, perhaps those who are benefiting from the central system may not want it to fly. And then if you see the speed with which the IGP Tunji Disu has engaged this state policing, setting the template in motion, you will realize that it may end up as subsidy is gone.
Okay.
And I said it very recently. If Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has his heart on getting something done, I think he has the acumen to make it happen. But Nigerians should not be aware. In fact, I am the supporter of the school of thought that at the state level, perhaps there will be greater accountability. We know ourselves. So let's ask questions. And already in Kano State, they have the HBAS system. And some of Nigeria have copied what Lagos started with the LASMA. We have, say they have, yes, they have their own in Ogun State.
Yes.
They have in Osun, and look at what happened in response to the insecurity. May God continue to grant the former governor of Ondo State eternal rest. Came up with the Amotek, a regional system. even though it's not formally recognized by the Constitution. The Southeasterners also, in response to insecurity, came up with the ESN. And when you are now given the constitutional authority, then you reconstitute it and profile it in a way that you want it to be effective. And
All
if
right.
you want your state to remain an insecure state, then it's now left to you. After all, governors collect security votes. So
All right.
all those claims are excuses. Where there is a will, there is a way. And like a wise man once told me, that a weak decision is better than indecision. You know, we need to step up again in
All
Nigeria
right.
and have a secure environment that can attract foreign direct investment and deliver security and good welfare to the citizens.
All right, Barrister Jide Ologun, lawyer and security analyst. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. God bless Nigeria.
Well, that's the discussion we've had so far on the implementation of state police. Of course, you can watch a repeat broadcast of this program at 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. on Sunday. I am Theophilus Ilama. Thanks for watching.